Yeah, I just gotta tell you guys something right now. I was just talking to my brother on the phone, and he told me he made me want to look into something because I guess he just quit smoking recently. He was telling me why he quit smoking, and it's some crazy shit, man. I'm gonna wait to see if some people get in the room before I go in. But you guys gotta realize, like, this is some crazy shit. And what's crazy is not what they're doing, is how fucking stupid people are to not see it. That's what's crazy. Like, that shit is crazy. This is also a reason why people are becoming more mentally unstable. It's part of it for the people who do partake in that shit. This shit is fucking crazy. I'm gonna probably just start right now. Just I don't want to really bring this shit in, but you guys gotta understand what the fuck's going on. All that weed you see it. Like, hold on. It's raining like all that. What the fuck's going on? Why is my thing blurry? The fuck? That's hella weird. I never seen that shit happen before. But yeah, but if you guys are smoking this shit out here, if you're not growing it yourself, you need to be fucking careful. If you're not like growing it and it's your shit or you know somebody growing it, you need to be careful. I was just speaking to somebody on the phone, one of my brother, my brother. I usually say relatives and shit because I don't like people knowing, but I was speaking to him earlier and I guess he quit smoking like around Thanksgiving. And what's interesting is he was telling me all like most of the weed is they're changing it to THCA. And when he said that, I assumed all the weed was regular THC. He's like, this is all over. This is the weed in the U.S. As far as the U.S. If you go to other countries, it might be different because it's still grown. But the shit here is not. It's some crazy shit. Because what's going on right now is, I guess they released something called THCA. This is all the U.S. This shit is legal in any state. This THC is legal in any state, and you know how they have it legal in California is what's legal in California is the regular THC, but at the clubs, what he was telling me is they're quietly making all the weed at the clubs, like in any place that's legal that has clubs. So Colorado, this state, California, Washington, any state that has legal weed, they're making it like they're putting that fake ass synthetic THCA, which it's synthetic. It's a synthetic version of the real shit, and it causes other issues. And it tastes like it, smokes like it, tastes like it. The high is the same, and it's all the same shit. But it's a synthetic poison. It's not the real. So if you had to smoke it, you need to be growing your own. Because that's the real. Because if you have the real weed, they'll throw you in jail. Weed THC is federally illegal. THCA is not. No, THC is federally legal. Yeah, THC is not federally legal. That's why it's legal. So anytime the government does something, why don't they just legalize the real shit? Why do they got to do all this THC and all this laboratory? Why don't they just legalize the real? Because it's a different thing. But then when I went online, because I don't smoke this shit, right? I went on the internet and then I typed in THCA, and I'm looking at these people talk about it, and something in my spirit's like, these motherfuckers don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because most of these people who talk about weed on here, they're fucking dope heads. They don't know shit about weed other than how to get high. They're like a dope head. So I'm looking at all these weed channels, and they're talking about how THCA. They said the difference. This is what these stupid fucking dumbass dope head ass niggas talk about. The difference between THCA and weed. Guess what they say the difference is? The difference between THCA and THC, real THC, is THCA, you have to heat it for you to get high. And THC, you don't have to heat it for you to get high. Like, it doesn't make sense. Last time I checked, I don't know about you, anytime you ever seen somebody smoke weed or get high, they lit it with fire. Unless it was an edible or it was a thing you drink. So why they keep talking, every single channel I'll look on, what the fuck is THCA? The same stupid bitch ass things talk about, oh, THCA is the same thing. The only thing difference is the THC isn't activated until you heat it. Bitch, anytime you get high, you have to activate it with heat. Unless you're taking an edible, so what the fuck are they even talking about? That THCA is a synthetic hittable, and mind you, remember, THCA is legal. Some nigga said he got it in Tennessee, like a pound of this shit. And The real THC, he can't. So why would the government do that shit? You see what I'm saying? The reason they're doing that shit is because it is a difference and it's actually a poison. And then they have all these dumbass niggas who have these stupid, fucking retarded, useless ass weed channels talking about how weed. Like, first of all, nigga, you can't talk about shit about science. Talk about how this fucking pack gets you high and shut the fuck up. You can't talk about what weed is or where it came from, the science of it, because it's a fucking chemical warfare. The weed, not saying weed in general, but the weed that you're smoking. Unless you're growing it yourself, you're smoking that shit. Because they got a lot of niggas, all those shit you see at the clubs with those like different weird names and different colors. That's THCA. In all the legal states, they're slowly, quietly switching it. Because in this state, my brother, he quit. What he told me was they used to put on the labels at the clubs in California the THCA percentage and THC percentage. They got rid of it. They just have percentage of THC. It just says the percentage, but it's really before it used to say THCA. Now they got rid of the THCA and just named it, but it's still THCA because they're mixing. They're slowly phasing out the real THC. Why do you think the clubs don't get raided? Remember when clubs back in 2008? I remember when I was in high school. The clubs were raided every, like, if you wanted to open a weed club, you were gonna get raided within 2 to 3 years. Luckily, if it was probably within a year, they will raid you. That's how it was because that was THC. It's federally illegal, and it's still federally illegal. They just raided some nigga's fucking place, and they raided some Chinese people. I guess it was some Chinese fucking migrants that were in like a nice ass neighborhood, kind of where I stay at, and I guess they were growing weed in there. But I'm like, how the fuck? They're not raiding these clubs. But back in 2008, they were raiding the clubs like every fucking, like, and I remember school people, oh, this club got raided. Remember the club got raided? But you don't hear about clubs getting raided. It's because that's THCA. What those Chinese was making was the real THC, which is federally illegal. Anything that's federally illegal, they're still going to have DEAs run it, whatever. These other clubs, they just be open forever. I've never seen them raid. I'm like, isn't that? It's because it's THCA. It's not the real shit. And then they're phasing it out. And the THCA, that shit is poison. It's a synthetic version of weed. It's not the real shit. So even though it smokes like it, everything, it has chemicals within it because it's not real. So it's going to affect your health more. It's going to kill you more. It's like a GMO. That's what they call it, GMO. Remember I talked about the weed, the GMO, and they created. I feel like they started this shit probably around 2012, but they said in 2018 they passed the bill, and it's crazy because I remember back in when I was smoking like a year ago. I remember the weed. It smelled. It was like it. I thought it was the same weed when I was smoking it like a year ago. But I remember back in 2014, like this dude I used to buy it from, the weed used to be different, and it was the same. But there was something about it that was different. But you have to be really intuitive because most people say, "Oh, it's the same," because it does look this fucking similar. But like the weed now, it's like it's more has a more I could tell it's fake. And not only that, it it's like fucking it's cheaper. Remember, we used to be like $50 an eighth, and it don't get me wrong, it still is, but they didn't have like the cheaper weed, and they had like shake because the real weed produces shake, and people couldn't buy the real weed, so they smoked the shake. Now, like the weed, since the shit's in synthetic, they don't have to sell shake no more. That's why you don't see people smoking shake. If you ever realize they have the shake of the bud, you don't really see that unless you only see shake when you grow your own weed because the shit's synthetic. So they don't have to make shake anymore because it's so synthetic and it's so fake. They can just produce a lot of it and then sell the buds for cheaper. This is why you get like $3 joints, $10 eighths. That's the THCA cheap shit. Back in the day, you wasn't getting those fucking deals. You had to pay $10 a gram. Remember the 5 on it song and all that shit? So I'm saying like that was the real weed, and that's when it was really illegal. Now why you think it's more lax? Because that THCA, that fake ass shit. And then people, oh, it's the same. It's the same. It may smoke the same and get you high the same, but at the same time, it ain't the same. And even then, the high is. I feel like it's not the same as it was, but it's not as psychotic and hallucinogenic as it was back in the day. That's when we were able to. I remember when I was smoking back in fucking high school. First time I smoked this shit, the first time I was not hallucinating, but it was more like a hallucinogenic experience. The marijuana. And like I'll say later on, like the weed didn't even get me like that. It was just like a high. And I never heard anybody else talk about how they got hallucinogenic effects because the real THC, I feel like you can when you smoke it, it gives you hallucinogenic effects. and other shit, and it's more connected with the planet, so they don't have control over it. So when they do the synthetic version, it's like it's not the same shit. That's why they're pushing it out and they're promoting it and everything because they're switching up the weed. And then they have other fucking variants. Like they had like something called THCO, and they said that's banned. That wasn't probably supposed to be. They probably made that, and it didn't work out like it was supposed to. So they just banned that one because it didn't work like it was supposed to. Like because humans make mistakes, so they probably tried making it because they have THCV, THCO, and all this, but THCO they say they banned it. This shit is crazy. So I'm just saying, if you guys aren't growing your own weed, don't be even smoking that shit. And they got a lot of these dumbass fucking channels out here like promoting this shit. Because back in the day, you wouldn't even see weed channels like that. But now they have all these fucking retards like smoking like weed and all these like pens and these vapes. That's all fake ass weed they smoking. They promote that so they can have people smoke this shit. And it's like they're trying to promote that bullshit out here. That's why they have all those fake ass weed channels. And like back in the day, when you seen a pothead, it was a different energy. Now when you see it, it's so like mainstream. Like you can tell, like, when you watch the McDonald's and then you go to a mom and pop shop, one's like mainstream and one's just like traditional. Back in the day, the pot industry was more like traditional and like the hippies, and it was more people smoked, and it was more kind of like on that closer to that like natural state. But now when you see this shit, it's all like synthetic, marketed, like fucking like a rap video, and everything's all the names of it. And then they have like they give them like, it's weird, like they're trying to sell it into like, especially to children. That's why they add a lot of colors to it, like pink. They have all these names, like fucking these weird names that they give the fucking vapes and the pens, and they give it flavors. That's to get the kids, and they're trying to promote this shit like it's like, because it's not, that's not weed, that's something else. And that shit's actually damaging the body even more than some marijuana. That's why I'm like, I don't trust any of that shit no more. That shit's crazy. And then every time my brother will bring it up to the people, he said they have an attitude with him when they try to explain it, because these people are retarded. They'll tell you, like, every time you'll tell them, is there a difference? They said the only difference is you have to burn THC. You have to combust THCA to get THC. That's the only difference, and it's a natural substance. But don't you have to combust THC to get high? You fucking idiot! Like, it's the same. You gotta light the motherfucking weed and smoke it, and you get high. You're not doing it unless you're taking an edible. So what are they talking about? That's just the play on words. No, they don't know. None of those people know what the fuck they talking about. That's why, like I said, you can't just go on it. And like, and it's funny because when I was looking for information about it, I can tell by the look of the people, that's the way they look. I already knew they were giving me misinformation because they were in that negative, they were in that spirit of that lying spirit, that misinformation spirit. Somebody who like went to college for like 5-10 years, like they had that type of energy. People who have that energy, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about at all. They don't understand the people who taught them. They're purposely misleading them, so they don't know that. So you can tell because only thing they could, every time I go to each one, they say the same thing: combust, you THC. They don't ever say anything else. So this is why I say these motherfuckers don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This shit ain't good. This weed is not good for you guys. Anybody smoking this shit, grow it. If you're gonna smoke it, grow it yourself. I'm not saying, like, first of all, do whatever the fuck you want to do, but if you're gonna smoke weed, grow it yourself and have the real shit. What you get at the clubs, all that and shit in the pen, that's not real weed. Why you think it's so cheap and they make so much of it? I remember back in the day they said you need like a pound, like an ounce of weed to make like a gram of oil. Well, yet they got like 20,000 grams of oil at the club. That shit ain't real oil. That's some fake ass weed they grow up. They grow. It's a synthetic weed. And then they sell the shit online. That's why you'll see some places that have like, you can get weed delivered to your door in like fucking Arkansas when that shit's illegal. Because the government, they know, they don't care you smoking that because they know that shit ain't the real thing. Yeah, it smells the same, smokes the same, but there are similarities. Like the hallucinogenic high that came with the real THC isn't there. That's why when you smoke the shit, you don't have those hallucinogenic trips as hard or as much as you did back in the day. I remember 2008 when I was smoking this shit, the weed was not the same. They switched that shit up within 2012 to 2018, around that time. They switched that shit up. Probably even a little before that, but they switched it up. Because I was like, where the fuck do all these raids go? Every time I hear about a marijuana raid, it's always like some Chinese immigrant that rented out one of these houses in these gated communities and they're growing like a whole bunch of weed. That's the real weed. That's why they got raided, because they're growing real weed. But they're not raiding these clubs, these legal clubs. And then when you notice how back in the day, I'm gonna tell you guys another one. Back in the fucking day, you were able. I had new friends and homies who was selling fucking weed to the clubs. They shut that off, I say probably around 2015, 16, around the time 2018 came, where they said something about some bill they passed for the THCA. And I remember talking to him, thinking I was trying to get into that. I'm like, oh, you grow weed and you sell to the country? Oh, I grow like 3 pounds a month. We sell it, or 3 pounds. I don't know how much he grew a month, but I remember he had 3 pounds and he was gonna sell it to the club, and they bought it from him. Niggas was making like a bag from that shit, like 10,000 a month from just growing weed and selling it to the club, however much that. Some people go rob people from weed or steal some weed from somebody's yard and then they'll sell it to the club. The people were selling it, and back in the day, like the weed was it was just different. It wasn't packaged and it didn't have all that marketed shit. That's when it was real, and that's when the clubs was getting raided. But pretty soon they phased all that out, and every time you went to the club, it was the same brand. Like they had Heavy Hitter, they had the Cookies one, they had the same type of brand. Like you couldn't get like no mom and pop grown shit. Like it was, cause I remember they had delivery service, and then we ordered off the delivery, and then the mom and pop would come, or the delivery guy would come, and they would have grown the weed themselves, and then they would have told us how they grown it, and it would be like in a little Ziploc bag. That was the real shit. If you're gonna smoke that, you have to smoke that. You can't smoke all this other shit. That's synthetic. So I'm just letting you guys know. Anything, even if you get it off the street, some people probably buy it off the fucking internet and they sell it. You have to just grow your own at this point, because they say it looks very similar when you compare it. And a lot of people, like, because the reason they're able to fool people, because when it came to the marijuana, that was like probably one of the government's best like mind controls they got on people. It's like, marijuana is not bad for you, it doesn't kill you. Like, and I'm not saying marijuana is good or bad. What I'm saying is everything is fucking bad for you if you're consuming it too fucking much, or when you're not supposed to consume it. So that's what it is. But for somehow, like, there's people who actually believe, like, there's arguments and people who actually believe that marijuana is safer than water, because that program of marijuana is not bad. So now what's gonna happen is they put this THCA and everyone's smoking it like it's nothing, because everyone thinks, oh, it's weed, it doesn't hurt you, it doesn't, because because with the weed program, you can smoke weed and then you can have a problem from weed, but then it's attributed to something else because of that program, that weed doesn't harm you. So they really got it ingrained. And I'm not saying weed harms you, but anything can harm you at the end of the day if you misabuse it. And the shit right now isn't weed. So this is where a lot of the mental illness, a lot of these other problems and issues are going to start arising in people. Even the way people think, that has to do with it a lot. Because even when I remember when I used to go to the weed club, and back in high school, remember the average pothead was like a hippie, and they smoked and they're just chill, was good. What's up, dude? Like, do you remember that shit? Now when you go to the weed clubs, that's not the scene no more. It's like, where's all the pothead with the dress, the white dude who's all talking about token, and you don't fucking see that shit. When you go, every time I go to the weed club, it's like a bunch of fucking like the same people who go to like an NBA YoungBoy concert, or some dumbass fucking bot who just got off his shift of Amazon, so, like a useless regular person. That's, if they were to die in a car wreck tomorrow, who would give a shit because they're regular. That's the type of person you see, and so it matches the mentality of, it makes sense. Because the other weed used to be more hallucinogenic. This weed just like to get you fucked up. That's why, like, they even said like the sales of marijuana at those clubs, the clubs out here, they're going out of business. Like, people aren't buying as much weed as they used to be. Like, they're going out of business. I think people are like starting to wake the fuck up and not really smoke as much, and they're getting it. They're growing it themselves, or they're buying it off the street. Is weird. Like, and then like all the weed is like pre-packaged and shit. You can't even look at it. There was a time they let you look at the buds. I remember that back in like probably like after 2020, when the pandemic, they really shut that shit off, because I guess they used the excuse of like, fucking, you guys know what it is, and they did that with it, and you weren't even able to touch the bud no more. So it was already pre-packaged and everything. Like, you go into the club now, you can't even see any bud unless you have to open it. I think some of them, they show like a little bit of this shit, but even if they show you, you can't touch it, and that's just the fucking display shit. So they can. I'm gonna read some of these comments. I just want to get this shit out because this shit is crazy. And then they have to be careful. They got a lot of these weed channels out here too that be promoting it, and then they promote it, and then they be selling it and having orders fulfilled by other companies. If like it's all this, they're selling that shit, and like that shit is not good for you. I wouldn't even buy any of that shit. If you gotta, I'm not telling you guys don't smoke. If you want to smoke, grow your. Like if I was gonna smoke, I'm gonna go grow my own shit. Like go get your plant, get your seeds, try to get it from like a real natural. You have to go to like a place like one of those growers who grow it in the mountains and shit. Get a seed from them, have them teach you how to grow it and grow it yourself. And that's I'm not if you're gonna smoke, but as far as getting all these pins and all that shit, that's not weed. That's some other shit. That's another drug, and that shit's like I don't know what the fuck that's doing. It's gonna take time for us to see what the fuck that can do to someone's health. Because a lot of these things like they slowly damage, but it's like you take an Advil or Tylenol, or you're not gonna take that every day because you know it hurts the liver. So a lot of those other things they hurt the liver because if it's a lot of chemicals and pesticides and other shit in it, it's 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 gonna be even more harmful with that shit in it, like with the THCA. Like you'll be able, it's gonna because your body has to process all that shit when you're smoking it because it's a chemical. Versus the weed is less of it if at all because it's more of a natural thing. And I'm not saying it's natural for smoking you at all, but if you're gonna smoke, do the real shit. Cause and if you don't believe me, always keep in mind that THC is still federally illegal, and they're rating people right now for it. That THC I'm talking about right now, I'm telling you it's poison, is legal, and you can buy it in Arkansas off the internet. Wherever you live at in the United States, you can buy that shit off the internet. They're gonna ship it to your door, and people are smoking it. So I'm just keep that in mind before you say I'm fucking crazy. And you guys know this is a channel where we talk about how the government. So you already know the government don't fuck with any of you niggas. So why would they legalize that, but they don't legalize THC? If it's the same thing, just why play this? It doesn't make sense. The reason why is because what I'm telling you is right. These motherfuckers is crazy. And I'm like, no wonder why they have so many of these channels out here. Like they got motherfuckers just like smoking weed and all these dumbass channels, and they're promoting all these weak ass, stupid ass like shit. It's like the reason why they have that dumbass shit is to promote it. That's what it is. So they can promote that crap to like the kids and everything to get them used to it. And then they create all these different lingo words for these. It is weird. That shit is crazy. That's so I'm glad I stopped that fucking shit. And I remember when I was smoking that shit once, like this is when I was at my dad's house when I just before I moved out a few years ago. When you guys see me there, but I remember I was smoking one of the pins. That's when you guys used to see me smoke the pins and shit. And I remember my lung was hurting for like a day after that. I'm like, why is my lung hurting? Like it's a chemical. Like it went away, but I was like, what the fuck is that? It's because it was that THCA crap. This is crazy. This is crazy. I'm gonna read some of these comments. I knew weed was poison when they started selling at random gas stations. Yeah. And then they had all that had the fucking Scooby snacks shit. Oh, they had a whole bunch. Anything they make legal, like alcohol is legal. You see how bad it is. Anything that's illegal is because it has some type of property to it or something that could be beneficial. In the THC case, I would say, because I remember back in high school when I smoked regularly, I would get hallucinogenic highs. I would start like seeing shit, but like it was more like hallucinogenic, and I'll like have more experiences, weird experiences and stuff, and it just seemed more natural and shit. But like when I smoked the weed recently, it was like it doesn't. It gets you high. It's confusing. Like if you're a very stupid, retarded ass spirit and you're not intuitive, then you know it's the same thing. But you really have to have a fucking common sense and intuitive, and you're intuitive and really be able to see the details to be able to notice the difference. It is a difference, and I know it is. It is a difference. That's why they keep fucking throwing people in jail for like. That's why like you don't hear that much of like the raids anymore because some more people are smoking it. But the people who aren't, because there's still some out there. But what my brother was saying is they're slowly phasing out some of the weed. He thinks at these clubs because they used to show the They used on the percentage of the package. It used to say THC percentage, THC percentage. And they got all rid of it. It just says THC percentage, and then they just put the percentage of everything in that. They don't even put THCA. Like they just automatically assume that you know. But he said they used to write THCA, and I'm like, why would they be selling THCA at a California legal dispensary if it's legal here? When should they be just selling THC? I thought THC is legal. That shit should be sold in all the other states. It doesn't make sense. And then obviously it's the same because nobody. I'm the first one you guys hear talking about it like this. So that means that it tastes the same, smokes the same, and it feels the same, but it isn't. But why is one legal and one isn't? Because it's not the fucking same. 100% smells different unless you go yourself up. Exactly. That you exactly right. It doesn't smell the same. Like it has a different and they all the strains pretty much are the same strain. It's just three strains: indica, and that's sativa, and they have the hybrid one. That before you used to be able to tell the nuances of the strain. Now all the new strains they're making is just the same shit. It's just what do you want? You want to be up, down, and that's it. But they just name them different names. Like they have a billion different names, but they all like feel the same. That's crazy. I knew for a fact there was something with the weed. Yeah, they were adding different. They put different smells in it. Remember, like all of a sudden, how the fuck does a weed smell like a blueberry, or like a fucking a cookie? That's where they got the name cookies from. And fucking biscotti. That's like a French cookie or some shit. They're like all like they had biscotti and they had Girl Scout cookie. All of like, and then how the fuck they getting it smell like a damn pastry? Pastries don't even grow in the jungle or the wilderness. So how the fuck you? It's all chemicals. Yeah, that shit. This is not good, man. They even have a strain called GMO cookies. I told you guys, it's called GM. Look it up, GMO cookies. An actual strain. They named it that. So they're telling you this is GMO cookies. I even heard. Oh yeah, because I know it'd be the most bought GMO motherfuckers looking at shit, smoking that shit. Yeah, for real. Back in the day, it was different. Back in the day when I seen some, I'm not saying those people still don't smoke. I'm sure they still smoke, a lot of them. But what I'm saying is, back in the day, I remember when you thought of a pothead, it was like a smoker who's like the nigga on Hippie Hill, just sits on a hill all day and smokes and has dreads, and it's a white person. And they got like dirty ass clothes, and they just sit there and just chill. But nowadays, when you see the average smoker, it's not even that. It's just like a fucking. It's like the equivalent to the average drinker. That's a perfect comparison. Like the person who drinks on, who goes to the club and drinks and have fun. Not like an alcoholic, but somebody who just drinks to have fun. That's crazy. Oh, he said Michigan. Okay, they have this spin. That's something I gotta clarify. He said Michigan dispensary lets you see and smell. That's because if you there's medical dispensaries. Medical dispensaries, they still sell THC, but you need a medical card. Like in Michigan, you probably need a medical card. But when you go, if you let's just say you were to come out here to the Cali and go to the club, all you need to show them is your ID and you're over 21 to let you into the legal club. But if you want to go to a medical, you got to go to the doctor and fill out a form and say why do you have depression, anxiety, and then they'll give you a medical card. And then they have some clubs because I remember when I was living with my dad in his house, there was a club, and then they had a medical club, and it says you need a medical card, and I was like, who the fuck's gonna get a medical card? That's stupid because you just go to the legal one, and I never understood that, but now it makes sense because one's legal, one isn't. And that medical club probably is at risk of getting federally like destroyed. Like they can come and arrest him in there because he's not selling the real shit. So that is some lab grown weed. This shit's some lab grown fake ass weed. I'm telling you, this shit is crazy. This is stupid. He said in Detroit, you gotta be, even though but I'm sure in Detroit they have medical. They have medical dispensaries. Medical dispensaries still exist. You still can get a medical card and get a medical dispensary, and they're gonna give you THC. That's why you have to go to get a medical dispensary and go. And they're very few. You don't even see medical dispensaries because everyone just goes to the other one. But they're still out there. At least if you're gonna smoke, go do that. And I don't even know if that's, but I'm sure it is because if it's you have to go all through all that, I'm sure it is. But at least smoke that shit. Don't the other shit is some. Because I remember there was a time where weed used to be expensive. Like people were charging me like $20 a gram, 15 a gram, an eighth of like 25. Now you go to the club, you get a whole bunch of weed, and they every time they give deals like 50% off, 30% off, get this and get that. The reason why is because this shit ain't real, it's fake. This shit is crazy. He's an average, and you're right. It's funny, but still, he got a gut into it. Like he knows how to spot shit. Cause when you see the average person who smokes weed nowadays, I'm not saying everybody, but I'll say over like 80% of people, they're just like the average worker. They go to work, come home, and that's it. Anybody who's really successful, they're not smoking. I don't see. They're not unless they're in an industry like they're a rapper. I'm not counting that because that rap life, that rock and roll lifestyle, or that rap lifestyle, they're gonna obviously be smoking that shit. Or somebody who's like a club, they work at the club like a stripper who's probably runs a club, or they're getting somebody like obviously they're gonna smoke. I'm talking like on average, the average person who smokes is not somebody successful. It's a regular person. Because remember, I told you we're going into a shift, so everything is being exposed. So back in the day, more people were smoking, but it was more like a chill thing. But since we're in the shift, the more you see somebody smoking and drinking, that's just showing you to have trauma triggers. And then and you don't even have to look at me and take my word for it. Look at their reactions. Look at how they are. Look at how they move and how they talk and what they're doing in their life, how they view the world, and it explains and it matches up. Versus before, you could have been somebody successful and been smoking. That's why a lot of people that you see successful now, they say, "Oh, I used to smoke." It's because at one point in that ship, it was when the THC was real. That's what they were. I was like, why in 2008 they were going hard at marijuana, like wanting to arrest people, and even like they had commercials. Remember back in '07, like the drug commercial. Oh, you were like a deflated balloon on a couch. Like this is you on drugs. They don't do the weed commercials like that no more. What the fuck happened to that shit? That's fucking crazy. I'm telling you niggas, man. Like you gotta think I'm just bullshit. That shit is crazy. I just had a fucking realization right now. When I was growing up, you know those weed commercials and shit, like those drug commercials. They used to scare the fuck out of me. Not because of the weed, not because they're smoking high. It wasn't. It had nothing. It was just there's the same way you're scared. You watch a scary movie or you watch something scary or frightening. It was that same type of energy. Like the fear had nothing to do with the weed or anything. It was just fear of that. I just can't explain it. I felt a fear. And when I look at it, I feel like that was my subconscious, like my desires and my addictions and me needing to get out of it and not wanting to partake. It's some deep shit. Cause I just had a realization right now. But I don't want to go too deep into that. No, they have eights for like $10 and shit. $10.50 an eighth out here. So and in some places less than that. It's just fucking crazy. Yeah, this is. I'm like, cause I remember there was a time, man. It was like, and even with the oils, cause I started smoking in '07, and when I started smoking in '07, they didn't have no oil. 1 gram of weed was $10. But I fast forward to 2013, 14. I remember when my brother used to take me to the club. We used to go to the club. It was like a gram of oil. I remember when they first had the gram of oil. We got like hella gram. We was smoking that shit. Like, damn, you don't even need to get high weed. Just get this. And it was like some cheap ass like black tar oil, but it wasn't black tar. It was oil, but it was cheap. But it was like fucking, and I remember it used to smell like different flavors, and we were just smoking this shit, and I was like, we never really questioned why it was cheap, but we didn't think too deep. But it's cheap because it was different, and that's around the same time the clubs coincidentally weren't as rated as much. You couldn't sell weed to the clubs that much anymore because they cut that. You can't sell weed to the club no more. They have contracts. They say the guy said that. So one of the dudes I was talking to, he said they have contracts with other companies where they can't buy from people. And I'm like, those other companies is probably the government and these other people that are trying to create this situation because they don't want people growing their real weed. They want the weed only coming from the corporation. I love anything that's a vape or is poisonous for your fucking health. Don't smoke any vape. At least if you're gonna smoke something, smoke the real shit like weed. Grow it if you're gonna even smoke that. If you're gonna even take any type of weed, I'll say make sure it's grown and drink it in the tea or eat it. Don't even smoke it, just eat it. So you can still get high, just consume it in like a edible form or like you put on your skin or like they even have tablets they melt on your tongue. You can still get high like that if you want to do it for like medicinal reasons. But just smoking it, and if you want to smoke it just for fun because you like to smoke, that's fine. You can go and smoke, but at least know what it's doing to you, and just say I want to have the experience of smoking. That's fine. But anything that's a vape it's just poison. I say vape is worse than fucking a smoke because the vape has a bunch of chemicals and even like the fucking the material when you heat that material in the vape it heats it up so you're not only just smoking the vape you're smoking that material because if you go and buy I remember back in the day I used to buy a brand new vape like a vape like there was like the oil vapes where you used to open it up and you put the oil in there and they heat the coil heats the oil. When I got a brand new one I used to just heat the oil without putting oil in it and it used to smoke. So you're smoking when you're vaping it's the chamber that's being heated it's also leaking other chemicals in the vape. So you're not just smoking the tobacco or the weed, you're smoking like the chemicals in the chamber and the material that's made out of that vape. So if it's not made out of like a premium pure glass or some shit that's not you're probably smoking some other shit with your stuff. Just yeah, pretty much to make it simple, just don't even smoke shit. That just really makes it very simple. And if you want to, then at least know what it's doing to you and accept that fact. Or you can just be ignorant and just do it. It don't even really matter at the end of the day. At this point, it really doesn't. Because everybody's really doomed. Most people are. I don't know. Chicago dispensary said straight. I'm gonna get to everyone's comment as well. So then they were. Yeah, I wouldn't even trust any of that shit. I wouldn't trust any of that shit. Hell yeah, yeah. Don't even trust that shit. I heard in Chicago they were selling $70 vape pens. Vitamin vapes. I never heard about vitamin vapes. Anything that's a vape is bad. Don't ever deal with anything with vape. And if anyone says what I'm saying is bullshit, ask them why is THC legal and THC isn't. And if they can't give you an answer, they can kiss your fucking ass. Because that's a fact. THCA is legal. THC is still federally illegal. Alcohol is illegal, right? Or alcohol is legal, and we already know why. Because it's fucking deadly and it kills people more than weed. But why is that legal? Because it has a narrative and a purpose to play. Most likely it's bad. So won't you think the same for THCA? Be careful what you guys are smoking and shit out there. Because and I'm not saying like I'm not saying don't smoke. I'm saying if you like to smoke, like if I was gonna smoke, even if I was gonna smoke, and go back to smoking, I still wouldn't even do THC. I would just go and grow my own, find one of the people that I know who grow it, have them teach me how to grow, or pay them to grow me some weed as they grow, and I'll buy it from you. That's what I'll do. Get it from a dealer who actually grows it and know how they grow it, and make sure they have a lot of fear in smoking the bullshit so they know how to grow it right. So you see what I'm saying? So that could be a motivating factor that they ain't gonna fuck with your shit. So that's why they gotta be informed and shit. They need to legalize. I can care less if they legalize that shit. I don't need shrooms. I'm not gonna say they should, or I can care less. It's not my like. I don't need them, but this shit is crazy. And then like, don't even get me about the pesticides that they put in it and all the other shit they put in it. Weed is no different than drinking a beer, really. I'm sure beer obviously is bad for you, is more because what it can do to you. That's not. I'm not gonna sit there and say, oh, it's worse than alcohol. But for you to say, I wouldn't say weed is too far behind from the unhealthiness of beer. It's not too far behind. It's not as unhealthy as beer. It's not as unhealthy as cocaine, obviously, but it's not too far behind. And I don't think that weed and all that shit is it's healthy because it really is. Anything you're consuming is not fucking healthy, especially if you're smoking it, because we're in a new time and we gotta like start saying it what it is. We're not in the old time, just like now with the breatharian. We don't need food. We in a new time. People need to know this. We're not in the old time where we can sit there and just like play with the information and shit like a little baby and shit. We get like no, like we gotta say it like it is because it's a new time and we want to evolve. We don't want to be stuck doing the same shit because before you know it, it's gonna be like 2040 and you niggas doing the same shit and you're gonna be complaining and even more depressed how 2040 felt like it was only 5 years and you thought it was gonna feel like another 20 years because you're so programmed into your mess. We can't do that. So that's why I said you gotta know right now is the time, not fucking tomorrow and shit. Because tomorrow is going to be middle of next year and you're going to be complaining and how the time went and then 6 months passed and people are still fucking retarded. It's fucking for real. I puff on cigars from different countries, don't even fully hell. If you do what you do, like that's fine. If you want to just puff and you know what it is and you want to relax and you know the dangers, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm talking to people who they think it's healthy or they don't know. If you know and you just want to do it just to relax, who's anybody to tell you what to fucking do? I'm not gonna go tell a drug addict to stop doing drugs. He knows he needs to stop doing drugs. Who I will tell to stop doing drugs is somebody who I sense that they don't know or they're in the dark. So that's the type of person. Somebody who wants to do it, that's their own decision and they have every right. Maybe their spirit needs to go through that so they can go through an experience to wake them up. So then they'll get out of it. So for me to intervene, I'm not gonna tell anyone to start doing this because who am I to intervene? Shit's crazy. And I noticed with the edibles, they're putting like instead. Remember, in the edibles used to have weed, or the actual cannabis buds. Now that all the edibles is oil. They just put oil extract, cannabis oil, which like why would you put can't why don't they at least have both? I'm not saying don't have cannabis oil extract for the edibles, but why don't I have both? Like what I mean by that is they make the edibles with oil extract, so it gets you higher. But why would they exclusively just do that and read out the weed? Why don't they just make whatever? Would you want a cannabis infused edible or a non-infused with just made with weed? Like they don't even do like they change a lot of shit. And wouldn't that take a lot of oil and all that to make it? So that's you can tell it's fake because they're able to make more and scale it and scale the product out because it's not real and it's not healthy. So whatever that you're taking, I don't know what kind of damage it's doing. I think it's doing like what the damage I would tell you that I know is doing that's evident is the mental damage and the way probably people think and how people act and even certain hormones and shit. It is doing some type of fucking damage. Yeah, I've had no appetite at all today. Yeah, for I just when I ended my fast yesterday, I only ate like soup and I was good. I ate soup and I was straight. And then I went and I had some fucking like some rice and some like stew, like Nigerian stew. That shit was too heavy for me. I wish I didn't eat it. It was like some Nigerian pepper stew, and there was some rice. Like that's like my favorite dish, and it was good, but it was too heavy. And I should have just had the soup by itself. So I'm eliminating bread, corn, potato, any type of starch and carb. It gets me nausea. Like when I'm on my fast, just thinking about carbs, bread, and rice, it kind of gives me nauseated when I'm on my fucking fast. But when I'm not fasting and I'm eating garbage, or not even eating garbage, I don't eat garbage anymore like I used to. But when I'm just not on my fast, then I notice like those cravings for carbs. Like when I eat carbs, it doesn't give me bread. I can't eat bread no more. But I know for like corn and shit and like heavy stuff like that, potatoes, that shit. I want to say I crave it, but I can eat it and it doesn't make me feel heavy. So that's why when you go on a fast and you eat something or you do something, and when you do that thing, you feel kind of sick or you don't feel as good as you did before. That means that thing that you putting in is not good for you. And when you didn't feel like you're like, I just finished my fast and I ate this and I feel sick, that's because that's not good for you. But when you weren't fasting, when you weren't doing that shit and you were eating it, then it still was bad for you. But it's like a drug addict who had a high tolerance. You just had a high tolerance. So you don't want your high tolerance to like be the thing, make you think something's normal when it's fucking not. Like you need to just get rid of that shit. That's why it's good to go on a fast so you can know what you need or what you don't need. I just got off this fast and there's certain like I was drinking the Simply Lemonade. You remember I tell you I always drink that Simply Lemonade? That shit tasted like it was a fresh bottle. The expiration was like February of next year. That shit smelled and tasted kind of moldy. But usually I don't. It tasted off, like it wasn't fresh. Anything in a package, I could taste it's not fresh. I don't give a shit if it says 2027 expiration and it just got put on the shelf. It's not fresh because my way when I taste it and I sit it, I could taste the moldiness, the dirt, the like dusty. That's how packaged food tastes to me. Like 99% of packaged food just tastes dirty. Like you niggas need. That's what I'm saying. If you can't prepare your food because you're just eating dirt and mold, and a lot of you guys don't know because you have a lot of probably parasites, a lot of blockages, and you're in a certain mental state, mainly with survival, where your body is like not even really able to really feel that. That's why you gotta cleanse. So you eat this shit and you don't know what you're eating. And then when you get sick from it, you're like, how did this food get me sick? It's because you're eating all that crap, that dirt, that bacteria. Because any food that's packaged is spoiled and old. The expiration, that's why they put preservatives in it. But when they put preservatives, it's not that it keeps it fresh. Preservatives just make the bacteria not get you sick. So you're still eating rotten food. It's just the bacteria is not getting you sick as much, or it takes longer. That's all a preservative is. It's not keeping the food fucking fresh. So keep that in mind. That anything in a fucking package is it's old food. You're eating old ass moldy food, and the preservative makes it taste like it's less moldy, and it tastes like it's fresh. It's not fresh though. Preservatives don't make food fresh. They just make it not taste as bad. But the closer it gets to that date, that's when it starts losing its power. But it was always like that. It's just the preservative is losing its power. Yeah, this all this food is fucking this is not, yeah. That's why I stay away from. I can't eat any type of packaged food. I get nauseated. I get nauseated. I get scared. Like sometimes I'll be like, somehow like, oh, try this. I get kind of like nervous, and my heart start being like, man, am I gonna get sick all day if I eat this shit? Am I gonna have to make myself? Because if I make myself throw up, I won't get sick all day. But I don't like doing that shit. And it's not healthy to keep doing it. So that's why I got to be very careful because I made myself throw up like at least like 4 or 5 times this month because I was eating some shit I wasn't supposed to be eating. So that's the spirit telling me, yeah, I gotta just eat straight up, be healthier. Like I can't eat because I eat something thinking it's all right, and then like my stomach be nausea, I can't eat that. I make myself throw up. Like the moment I feel a slight nausea, I just make it. I don't want that shit in my system. So that's why I'm just straight up eating straight vegetable. I'm just mainly going on my fast because I'm the type of person where I don't like to really eat shit like healthy. I would rather fast than eat healthy because when I go on a fast and I come off the fast, the food tastes better. Versus if I'm just eating healthy every day, that shit's nasty. But if I went on a fast for like 10 days and I ate some apples, I'm gonna enjoy it more. versus if I just eat apples every day. I don't want that fucking shit. So that's why it's meant for me. It's better to fast. Some of you guys can eat, have a vegan lifestyle. Nah, I don't really choose that. Like I rather do it how I like to do it. And when I do prepare my shit, I make it myself. Go to the store and even then the store, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I know what I do notice when I cook from the store and I make my food from scratch, I don't get nauseated. That's one thing I do know. I never get nauseated at all. Anytime I make my shit from scratch, I do not get nauseated. Or I've never experienced it yet. Maybe I will, but as far as right now, I haven't. It's only when I eat packaged shit. And we already know, and I'm talking about preservatives, but imagine now how bad they are. Because 10 years ago, preservatives were still bad. They still were what I was saying, but the quality was better because the inflation wasn't bad. So imagine now with the inflation and them cutting food, all this shit. Like, so you're pretty much playing Russian roulette or whatever, fucking with they grocery stores and shit nowadays. If I were you guys, if any of you guys who are still eating and consuming, invest in the high quality stuff. Try to get organic. Try to eat as clean. Get the highest quality. Don't just get store brand because it's cheaper. And you may say it's expensive, but this is where it comes in eating less, consuming less, and then it won't be a problem as much. Because even when you are, because even if you have the money, you still don't want to be consuming too much because that's putting stress on the digestive system and it causes problems. So as a whole, even if you're eating unhealthy or healthy, you should be eating even less because it's not even healthy to just be a glut and fill your gut. And a lot of the reasons you have that appetite is because of parasites in your fucking gut that you haven't cleansed out. You have parasites that are like sending signals for you to eat, to crave sugar. I used to have a huge sugar craving back in 2019. I used to like honey buns and all that. I got rid of that shit, but it was a slow process. I'll say I got rid of that shit by like end of 2022. It slowly faded out because I this time I used to like, but now like, I can't eat no sweet. I had a fucking what was the last sweet I had? It was a vegan chocolate chip cookie. I couldn't even eat that. I was like, oh, it's vegan chocolate chip. I'll try that. It was at Sprouts. I couldn't even eat that. That shit, I had to throw that shit up. And then other thing, the only thing I can eat now and it don't fuck me up, and even then sometimes it does, but like if I eat a little bit, it'll be ice cream. That's for some reason, I don't know what it is, but ice cream, it don't fuck me up, which is weird. But I don't even fuck with that shit. Only chocolate ice cream. That's the only one. But I don't eat the cheap chocolate. I eat like if I go, I'll go like to a place and get like a real quality ice cream, and that doesn't really fuck me up, at least right now. Like that's the only sweet thing, like a chocolate. I'll probably get like an oat milk ice cream, like OAT, like oatmeal, but it's oat, but it's milk, oat milk ice cream or something. So it's not made with like I can eat some. That's like the only sweet shit. But as far like even if it's a vegan butter cake or the most healthiest sweet, just sugar within itself, I think nauseates me. Like if it's just sugar, like too much sugar. Like if I eat like something with a lot of salt in it, it's not as bad as what if I eat something with a lot of sugar. Like a lot of sugar, I feel nauseated and uncomfortable. My heart starts racing. But if it's like something with a lot of salt, I can handle it a little bit more. Like the salt is more natural for some reason. Like sugar, I don't even think sugar is supposed to even be a part of a fucking diet in a human compared to salt. Like salt, probably a little more so than sugar, but sugar, I don't think that's just supposed to be even in the human diet. I need a cleanse, but I'm cloudy, man. First thing, if you're cloudy, if any of you guys were the first thing I would suggest, all you guys get a colon cleanse. Even before you do, if you say, a lot of you guys can't do a fast, but you want to cleanse. If you can't fast because it's too hard, you know whatever excuse you may have, get a colon cleanse, but get a good one. You spend. That's the thing. When you want anything you want in life, and you trying to and you want to invest in yourself, get the highest quality and get the best one you can get. Don't just get the cheap shit they have at Walmart. Get something that's gonna cleanse, and you're gonna notice a difference. Because there's a reason why things, I'll say 80 to 90% of the time, there's a reason why things are more expensive. If that wasn't the case, then they'll just make a bunch of cheap shit and everybody will get the same shit. There's a reason why they sell designer shoes and the reason why they sell Walmart shoes. It's not like, oh, you're dumb. You're wasting your money on designer. How they're wasting their money, then how the fuck are they $1 billion company? Obviously, somebody's buying it every year, every day, and all the time, and it's not a problem. It's just your perspective and your reality and what you're going. So if you want to buy the good shit and be on that frequency, invest in yourself, you can. If you want to get the cheap shit and then it doesn't work and you complain why it doesn't work and you got to buy 20,000 of that $1 item just to, instead of buying one or two of an item that's like half price, then because you want to be cheap, then that's on you. But I'm telling you, invest in yourself. You want to invest in yourself. If you're cloudy mentally, you have a lot of parasites you need to cleanse. And if you can't do it fast, take a colon cleanse and get all that shit. You'll notice once that shit's out of your system, you're gonna have more clarity of mind. Your stomach is gonna come when you breathe in and out. You're supposed to breathe in and out normally. You're not supposed to have no. Your stomach's supposed to come in and out. So a lot of that shit has to do with blockages, parasites, aligning the spine. All of it goes together. All I can tell you is everything that you need to release your mind from being cloudy, you have. You don't need anything else. As far as the colon cleansing pills, that's an added thing. You can just go in fast, but a lot of you guys may not be able to do it, or you don't have time, whatever your excuse is. So that's why I say colon pills or colon cleansing pills. If you want to do that, I pasted a guy going. That's funny. He said, "Be careful when they're killing people." That's hilarious. For real. But I don't blame some people. People gotta eat those to live. So I'm not gonna. I won't be like. I understand what people gotta do, and especially if you have children. That's why I would. That's why I know I'm not supposed to have children this life. Cause hell no. Like me having kids would just be like me being back in the fucking matrix, the food matrix again, which I'm trying to escape from. So I will not have kids to leave this life. Because I don't know unless there's some type of way or and not even no way, because even if there was a way, that's one way route to CPS and your ass in jail. You can't play around with no kids and no breatharianism. So I wouldn't even. So even if the female was breatharian, you can't. This you can't play around with that. That's why I'm just not even having kids this life, because I'm not fucking paying no groceries for anybody and they fucking kiss. You kiss my ass. The only time I pay for a meal for somebody would be a family member or a bum on the street, and that'd be out of like generosity. I'm not fucking taking care of paying every day having a grocery bill. Fuck that shit. That's not, I'm not saying it's bad, but that's not for me. Yeah, shit's crazy, guys. I'm telling you, this shit is crazy. Cause my brother, he just moved to Hawaii, so he's down there and shit. I might go visit him, and I might be out there, and you guys might see me do some qigong on the beach down there. He got a nice. Well, it's just funny how the universe works. Cause he got a nice fucking like. It's expensive as hell to get housing out there, but he got free housing out there. So I don't know how the fuck, but this shit's crazy. Yeah, like he said, I could stay out there, but the thing is, I don't want. I don't know how I'm gonna bring this fucking vehicle. It costs hella money to ship it. I'm not paying $2,000, so plus I'll go visit him though. I probably won't want to stay. I'll go visit him most definitely. But out there, they all they do is just okay. People with kids have $300, $400 grocery bills. For real, it's ridiculous. I'm not fucking having no damn kiss in this fucking world. You can kiss my ass. And I don't think any sane person wants to have children in this world right now. It's not even. It's just the fact. And to be honest, this is how you can tell how fucked up the system is. The fact that I say that I don't want to have kids because I don't want to pay for food shows how fucking retarded the system is. Because if you didn't have, if food wasn't a thing you had to pay for, then that will be out of the picture of me saying I don't want no fucking kids just because I don't want no. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's all because of the capitalism. So, see, when you guys heard me say that, we're so caught up in this system, we're looking at like, oh, we can't have kids because of the food. But if these pieces of shit didn't create this create this overlay over this fucking this nature and shit and steal everything and charge for everything, then I wouldn't have to say I don't want to have kids because of you know it would be like who doesn't matter if you have kids? Food's abundant, food's everywhere. That's how fucking crazy this shit is. Because when you really think, I just thought like, what the fuck does me having kids have to do with food and all that? Like, food should be free and abundant for everyone. They throw shit out every day. Shit goes on trees left and right. That shouldn't even be a problem. What the fuck's going on here? So it made me just realize right now, like that's crazy. That's how you know this. This is how I know this system is hell. That's proof right there. Shit is crazy. Yeah, I would never spend. Even then, if you have kids, you could you don't have to feed your kids $300 $400 of dollars with the groceries every month. They can eat off way less than that, unless they some fat ass um fucking what's that shit called? That fat ass from the Goonies. Like those fucking little oversized pellet ass children. Nigga, there's no way in hell you're gonna be feeding 300. That's a lot of money for some damn kid. The fuck is he eating? Like, what is he like drinking the goddamn Skittles in a cup or something? Like, how the fuck how you consuming so much food for it to be $300 $400 groceries? You must be drinking everything, including the edible shit. Like, calm the fuck down. It's crazy. I'm not spending that much on no motherfucking kid. It's just ridiculous. Your ass gonna have to go up in there and steal some shit, and since you young, they might give you a slap on the wrist, nigga, and I'll teach you how to do it, and I ain't going in there with you. Like, go steal some groceries, nigga. Like, here's a Jackie, go steal some groceries, nigga. Little nigga. Oh damn. I'm gonna leave the link if any of you guys got something to say. Like I said, every live stream I drop the link, so if you guys got anything to say. You got anything to say? Yeah, ridiculous. But like, it's good that people are waking up though, because I do see people waking up, and I know it's like most people aren't. Even I had seen an article or something. I don't even know. I don't even like to refer to articles because those can be fake. But I feel this has got to be true as well because people are drinking alcohol less. People aren't consuming as much. But I don't think people, like I said in my last video, I don't think it's because people are having common sense. I'm thinking it's more so fucking just a lot of problems are happening in people's lives to make them not do that shit anymore. Where very few people they are doing it out of common sense. Fuck is that? Ambulance or firefighter. And you guys might see the light is blaring as it gets close. I don't know. You might not see it. Yeah, you might see. Yeah, you guys see it right there. The light is blaring. It's a fucking fire truck. Damn, Mercury square Saturn ain't somebody ain't having a good Mercury square Saturn right now. Damn, that's a horrible Jupiter opposite Saturn experience for that individual. There's my astrology joke for you guys. What's the yoga channel? The yoga channel is Cole Chance, COLECHANCE. Cole Chance. That's where I did my yoga. Where she's the only person who did yoga, who at least the first person I seen who told you to hold the poses for like a long time. All the other yoga channels, they didn't really explain it the way I needed to be explained to me, and I never got it. And I wasted time. I actually wasted 2 years not doing yoga because I did it, and then I didn't think it worked. And then just for me to come back to her channel, and she actually taught me to do. She didn't teach me shit really because I knew it how to do it, but the only I want to say she did teach me how to because she said you got to hold the pose for a long time. I wasn't holding the pose for a long time, and since my blockages was fucked up, yeah. So I'm not gonna sit there and say it. I'm not gonna lie. She did teach me how to do that shit, how to hold the pose. She gave me the idea to hold the poses a lot longer. So that's why I gave her channel a shout out. Yeah. I'm actually send a donation to her channel probably because that shit helped me out a lot. That shit helped me out a lot, and I remember. And I remember I left a comment and she was responding. Like most people, they think they too fucking good. Oh, I'm not gonna respond. She actually responded to the comment, gave it a heart. So like she's not one of those stuck up piece of shit people and shit. So I respect people like that. That's why I am gonna send a donation. I just haven't seen her how to send donations. I don't think she had Cash App, so that's why I haven't sent one. But yeah, you just told me. Yeah, so that's the yoga channel. Many people are done with working their lives away for corporations. Yeah, a lot of these corporations, and they're I don't know what's gonna. I think a lot of the corporations kind of want people to not work for them. Like, but people are still gonna have to. They're gonna end up working, but there's gonna be probably a different type of work in the future. But yeah, people are done with this shit. I know. I remember back in the day, everyone used to say like, in order to get a job at Google or Facebook, you got to go through like 1,000 applications or applicants, and it's only like a one. Like when getting a fucking application is like winning the lottery or some shit. And in my mind, like right now, I'm like so you're gonna pretty much go through all that stress and hell, pass ACT, study, stay up late, do all this shit just to get a degree, and then when you do get the job at Google, just for them to overwork you and shit, and then eventually just lay you off like they're doing right now. So all the people that are getting laid off now, a lot of those people like are my age, and we're like the same people when I was graduating high school. Oh, I'm trying to go to Google, work at Google, and this and that. They thought they were all good working at Google. Now these bitch ass niggas, they're getting laid the fuck off because their job is useless. This is why I tell you, all the jobs are mainly useless. All the when they do a layoff, they just laying off useless shit. Because when a company has an over surpass of money, then that they start buying luxury things. Like just like a rapper has a lot of money, they buy a gold chain. When a corporation has a lot of money, they hire more people so they can have more productivity, so they can make more and then make more money. But when they're not making a lot of money, they can't keep up with it, so they have to cut it off so they can have more money. So all those people they paying 100 grand a year because you want a high wages because of your bullshit ass degree, they have to lay you off now because that's a lot of money. $100,000 a year for like 500 people of the whole division sector. That's a lot of fucking money. So they cut that shit out so they can save money and shit. And it's like I think it's done like on different levels too. Like because the people who really run, well, I don't even really know 100%, but at the end of the day, it's done. It's deeper than like it's done on different levels. At the end of the day, like a lot of these corporations, what I think is going on is they're not really they're in cahoots with the government, but not like as you guys think it is. Like sometimes the government may want the economy to be down, and then the corporation, why would they want to be down? It wouldn't make any sense. So like things happen that's out of the corporation's hands. With in some cases, I'm thinking where maybe they have to raise prices and they have to lay off people, but it's part of a bigger thing, like for some other reason. And part of it has to do with just people not really putting in energy as much anymore. And we're in the shift, time accelerating, so a lot of production, a lot of the way things aren't the same anymore. Even the way society looks is the shift goes deeper, even on a physical level. I remember like back in the day, like things used to be more. I was at the library at my a couple months ago at my old city I went to years ago. And when I went to the library looked smaller, and it was still the same library. They didn't renovate or nothing, but it didn't look as big. And a lot of you guys said, no, you were young, you were short. No, it wasn't to do with height or nothing. It's to do it. It was more like I feel like back in the old ship, we were more in a dense reality, and everything was more expansive. Like you know when you put on those VR goggles, or you're in a like you're in everything's more expansive. But then as you're more aware, things become less expansive and less dense because the more dense something is, the more you're in hell. And since we're trying to get out of hell and we're kind of lightening up, everything isn't as dense. So time isn't not just time isn't faster or time isn't slower. The densities and the objects in the reality are more light. So you could go to you could go back in like your old the street you used to live on when you were 12 years old. It looks the same, but it looks different. That's kind of like that explanation right there. Like it looks the same, but it looks different because it looked like back in the day it was more immersive. It took more time. Like when you walk to the mailbox, it was like a mission. Versus now you walk to the mailbox, it's like that. It's because everything we're that's part of the shift. It's like little things like that. It's the shift. It doesn't just play out in like how people talk, act, and what it plays out in those magnitudes too. And that also has to play out with the planets and the alignments with the astrology and shit, and how things feel and look. Because when they say Saturn controls reality, so when you talk about Saturn in a certain sign, it's not just based on people how people act. It's based on how the reality looks and how you're perceiving the reality. So when Saturn gets into Aries, you're going to be looking, and the reality is not going to look the same as when Saturn was in Pisces versus Saturn was in Taurus. That's why when you go back in 2021, a, a average day in 2021 isn't the average day now for you. Not in terms of your consciousness or what you do, but how it looks when you go to the store, when you communicate. It was more different. That's why you did different shit. So it gets it's different. It's deep on that type of level. Like when you talk about the energy shifts and these planets changing, there's certain things we can acknowledge about these shifts, but we can't put into words. So this is why I have my channel to try to put it to words as much as you can. Because most people they see it and they experience it, but they don't even know it's something you can put into words to say. So once Saturn gets in Aries, Saturn's gonna be different signs, so the reality is gonna look different. And then not only things are gonna play out differently, it's gonna feel different as we get deeper into it. AKA, look how this year feels compared to when Saturn was in Aquarius. Look how time feels right now. Look how your reality and space and whatever you want to call it, feels right now compared to when it was in Aquarius. And then you can even do that then when it was in Leo and whatever. Or Capricorn. That's what I meant. Shit's crazy. You guys just dropped the link. We got 16 people. If anybody got anything to say, you guys want to add on, something you don't agree with. If you don't agree with me, I'm not gonna get upset or angry. I actually wouldn't mind people coming and agree. I don't mind debating and explaining myself or so. Just don't give a fuck about no damn trolls. If you're a troll, then I'm gonna cuss you out. That's it. But I don't look as you disagreeing with me as trolling. That's ridiculous. I actually want people to at least so I can see. Like I was watching Dolo's live stream, man. That dude Pillow, the African dude, at the end, even though like I don't agree with him, and you guys already know I don't agree with him, I still respect him, and of all the viewers, I probably respect him a lot. Probably one of the most out of all the viewers. Like I respect him a lot because I wish there would be more people like because he actually at least asks questions and debunks. He doesn't just blindly agree with everything somebody says, and then therefore, like, that's why I fuck with people like that. Even though I don't agree with it, he at least asks certain questions. Because even there's certain people who don't agree with shit, but then they don't even know how to go about asking shit. But yet when he does it, I kind of respect that. So even though he be saying stupid shit, he be saying stupid shit, but then at the same time, it shows you where like how he be responding to it it that right there it actually I see things that and I learn shit from people like it's weird like I maybe when you see somebody who talks full of shit and you converse with them and you see two people conversing and one's full of shit and one isn't and you look at it you're actually able to learn from both people not just from one and you're actually able to learn like how people's mind works and differently so I respect people who do that shit so if you want to come in here and like you have something to say like I don't care if you don't agree with me if anything if you don't agree I actually would rather have somebody who doesn't agree so we can learn more. People can learn more. So I can get to the bottom of it and I can explain what you don't agree with. Name one thing. I don't know. I don't know. What thing they haven't modified? Probably fucking. Probably I don't know. Probably shit. Probably existence. They're probably trying to do that because even though they modify what's within it, but the existence within itself, maybe that I don't know. They haven't done that. Like that's probably something they're trying to do. I don't know. They probably there's a lot of shit they probably haven't modified. I don't know. Don't give these motherfuckers like too much power. Like they could do like they don't like you don't know what the fuck they modified or they haven't or all we know is what they modified. Like there's probably a lot of shit they haven't. Like I can really care less what they do or haven't done, and that's their business with their shit. Because even if they do modify it, doesn't mean you have to use it. Like if something like you don't smoke tobacco, like if they modify that, it's not a like just don't use it. That's how I see it. Everything is GMO. He said she believes in Buddha. Yeah, that's why I said a lot of that Brahmanism. That's why I said I just take the information into yoga. That's where that Brahmanism shit. Like it's a program. Like they have it. The Masons they have it set up where white people like they'll come out of the corporate world and they'll get into Brahmanism, Buddha, and then they fly to Bali and then they go and meditate under a fucking like Masonic Buddhist monk temple that's that they created or some shit. Because a Buddhist monk was nothing but like a mutt or like somebody that's not it's not a real person. It's like they took it's a real person, but they're not natural. They try to make Buddhist monks look like they're like the most natural, come from the dirt, the ground up. That's not a Buddhist monk. A Buddhist monk was just a creation, and it was like an experiment in a project. Like what would happen if we do this and that, and then some of the people they took it to further feats, which were able to do it. Like it's like an experiment they did. It wasn't like the Buddhist monk created Buddhist monk. No, it was like the white man had experiments on. They did shit, and then Buddhist monks studied. The Buddhist monks copied and stole the native information and experimented with it, and that's what you have a Buddhist monk when they stole information from like the original native and then they experimented it in temples and shit and tried to copy what they were doing. So everything a Buddhist monk does is copying. There's nothing that because everything was already done. Everything a Buddhist monk isn't natural. So everything a Buddhist monk ever done, somebody or something did it before. There was millions of human beings living on this planet. What's good with it? There was millions of human beings living on this planet before Buddhist
Hey,
monks
what's up,
existed.
Chauncey?
So,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. What's good with it?
Hey, what's up, bro? Yeah, I just wanted like I know I joined late, but yeah, I
Are you
think
good?
okay, cool. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure. I think the the like weed carts, you know, the weed carts and stuff like that, the oils. I feel like that's
Yeah.
more GMO than the actual flour, you know, because like these
Can you
plants
say
pick
that
that
again?
up.
Sorry, my phone was about to be at like 5%. I'm just getting my charger to charge it so I can stay on.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, I said I think the like the weed carts and the oils and stuff like that. I think that's like more GMO right now than the plants because it's easier for them to like cover that up. Because like I be trying like the flour at the dispensaries and stuff, and I think it's fine to me. But I stopped smoking like the carts and the
Yeah.
oils and stuff because it made me feel kind of weird. So I think
Yeah.
for sure that's more so than the
Yeah.
flour.
But you most definitely right. The carts are more important. That why you think like the carts, um, they get you higher for longer and they're cheaper. Like you can get high off a cart for like literally weeks, but some bud will last you. So we already know how these people do in the system. Anything that's cheap, it's just like when something's cheaper, it's usually more unhealthy. Like Dollar Tree food is cheaper, but they'll give you more. Versus something premium, they give you less. It's kind of like that. So the weed carts are obviously more unhealthy.
Hmm.
They're obviously more unhealthy, but the weed it's still not real. Like the THCA is not real. It seems real because what it is it's like a it's still weed, but they made it in a lab. It's like a synthetic version of marijuana, so it's gonna still look and
Mm,
smoke and smell the same. But the damaging effects and the other effects that it has on the body when you're smoking it is not the same as THC. This is like alcohol. When you drink alcohol, you're still getting intoxicated like any other drug, but alcohol is legal and weed and THC isn't, because THC is less damaging and it has benefits that alcohol doesn't. Alcohol has no benefits and it fucks you up and damages the liver badly. So, for the government's interest, they don't care if alcohol is legal compared to weed. So, when they're going to
right, right,
legalize THCA, even though it's the same, there's still something about it that they're not telling you. That's why they're not rating these shops anymore as much as they were, or at all. They're not rating them, but they're still rating people's houses and shit.
right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised honestly, because uh, they sell the weed so much cheaper now. Uh, between I think last year they started selling like Ace for like $8. So
Yeah,
I
like,
think yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, like, you're right. Like, they're selling it a lot cheaper than this. I remember this started like around 2013, 2014. That's when they really started doing it. Like the oils for like 10, $13 for like a gram of oil. And like, and when they released, I was like, why is this shit so damn cheap? And I never questioned it, but I'm thinking it's because it's not real. Like, they're able to,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
yeah, there was a time. Remember the song "Put Five on It"? People put $5 on a gram, and it was $10 a gram. And then when you got it, you smoked it. And even when you got the $10 gram, you were able to share it with like a whole group of people and get high. But I'm not saying you can't do it now, but it's something missing. And maybe you don't. I don't know if you notice it, or maybe it's just me. But I feel like there's something. I don't know. It's not the same as it was before. Like, it just. I don't know. I think there's something that they're doing with the weed. Like, because like I said, like, it's nearly identical. Like, that's why nobody talks about it. Because if it was a difference that people can pick up, then nobody will be smoking weed. Everybody would be too scared to smoke it. So that they obviously it's not going to be evident to that fact. But the weed that you're smoking, it is. They even tell you on some of the packaging THCA. Like, they got rid of the label, but some labels they still have them at the California cannabis clubs. Because last year when I got
Hmm.
a vape, they actually, one of the vapes I got, they mixed it with Delta 8 and Delta 9. Delta 8
Mm.
is even a more synthetic version than the other shit I'm thinking. I think Delta 8 is like some that shit got me nauseated and I felt like my throat was fucked up. I threw this shit away. So that
Oh,
shit was like,
well,
yeah, that's a
was it a cart?
yeah, it was a cart. And
Oh,
on the cart it said mixed with Delta 8 and Delta 9. It was like
mm.
a blend of like real weed and fake, and it literally said it on the cart. I didn't read it. If I would have seen, and when that cart was super cheap, it was like $9 for a gram of oil, and that's why I got it. And it was
Oh,
at a
damn.
real legal cannabis club. It wasn't even a CBD shop. That's why I didn't read it and I didn't know.
Oh,
Cause
do you remember what the color looked like on that? Was it like
man,
dark brown or something?
it was like one of like a pinkish color. It was like a bright color, probably pink or something. Yeah, I wish I would have known. It was like last year around April. I don't think I have a picture of it.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
when I
No, I'm
smoked
talking
it, I
about the
threw it out.
actual oil, like on the cart.
Oh, it was a vape pen. It was like a brownish, like a
Oh,
golden brown, I think,
oh,
if
like a
I could recall.
disposable, like a
Yeah,
disposable.
disposable.
Oh, I see, I see.
Or not a disposable. It was like a one you like. I had the bottom pin, and then you just screw it on top. So it was like a one of the carts that you
Oh,
buy,
okay,
like a
okay. But
yeah.
were you able to see through it, like so you can see the oil?
Um, I literally don't even remember. This shit was like last year. All I remember was the box. Cause when I smoked this shit, I got rid of it. I just threw it away because they don't take returns. So I just threw it away and I just went on about my business and shit. So I didn't think anything of it because I was like, and I went and got another one that was normal.
Hmm.
I'm trying, like, if I can look it up online, I could probably type Delta 8 mixed with Delta 9 like THC card. I could probably look it up and find the brand, and I could post that in my communities tab.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. How do you
Yeah.
feel about the edibles? You think that's GMO, like the weed, like the
I,
flower and the oil?
I think everything's GMO, and I noticed that I forgot what year it was, but I remember they used to sell like 1,000 milligram cannabis edibles in the club, and that's when the cannabis used to be made with like actual bud. And then I remember they passed a law saying that the max you could add is 100 milligrams of cannabis per edible. And I remember they passed that. I don't know when it was, probably around 2017, around all this time this shit was going on. And I remember after they passed that, they started adding cannabis wax because since you could only add up to 100 milligrams, 100 milligrams of regular bud wouldn't get that many people high. So they started making it more concentrated so they could add 100 milligrams of cannabis wax. So now you could take. This is why you can get a 10 milligram edible and be high as fuck. But when you had the
Mm.
cannabis edible, you needed to eat like 4 edibles to get high. And that's like I remember there was like people used to eat like 500 milligram edibles, and they even had 1,000 milligram edibles and shit. And people was eating it and getting fucking high. But now all you need is like a little 10 milligram because it's so concentrated. And then so
Mm.
they started doing that, and when they started doing that, I can't say if the edible is even natural or not because I don't think I've ever, unless you're making your own edibles, I don't even think they make edibles with just regular back in the day weed. Like you gotta have to make your own.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I might have to try making my own just to compare it easier. Cause
Yeah, like I'm not like if you smoke, like if I was you, I would just like smoke the real stuff if you can, because I don't trust because you got to always keep in mind that this they why would they legalize THCA? Let's always keep that in mind. Like why would they legalize that and then make THC illegal? And
yeah, exactly.
you're
Yeah.
yeah, that's just weird. And then and then not to mention they have Delta 8, and I smoked Delta 8 by accident. There was two times I've got Delta 8. The one I just told you when I was living with my dad in Alameda, and I went to the club, and
Oh,
it was a
Alameda.
rose.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
it was
pretty
a.
close there.
Oh, you were
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So it was a fucking what's that shit called? It was like a rosin pod, and it had Delta 8 in it. Delta 8 is different from THC. It's not the same. Delta 8 I think is worse than it's more of a poison because the first time I smoked, because when you smoke THCA, it's gonna get you high like weed. You're not gonna notice it's just gonna get you high. But that Delta 8, at least when I smoked it, I felt sick. Like I felt like I was poisoned, or it didn't feel right, and like the high was uncomfortable, and I felt like just sick and not right. So I stopped. So I didn't know what it was at first. After a couple of days, I knew it was the weed. I was like, okay, I can't smoke this no more. So that Delta 8, that's even worse. And they created
Yeah.
Delta 8 as well. Like, why are they creating these variants of weed? You got to ask yourself, like, why not just have the real number one weed? Like, isn't like it,
Yeah. I know it
this
grows like
conversation?
naturally too, so there's no point in
Yeah,
making a synthetic one.
yeah. Like, I
Yeah.
shouldn't even be having this conversation. It shouldn't even be this deep. And when you used to smoke weed back in the day, because maybe I know when I used to smoke weed back in the day, people always just say you get high because the THC combusts. That's what they always say. Once the THC combusts with fire, then the smoke from the THC gets you high. But with the THCA theory, they're telling you that THCA is just like THC. The only thing difference is you when you light THCA, you get high. But isn't that the same with like have you ever met somebody who got high off smoking without heating it, but they weren't eating an edible or nothing? Like it doesn't make sense. They're
Yeah.
doing all this weird shit. Like you can tell it's like they're trying to trick people. And then if you don't know if you don't know what you're talking about, they could be like, oh, you don't know they could just make you look stupid or something. Like they're just trying to use all this trickery. Is weird. Like why do they keep making an emphasis on like combusting it, and that's the only reason if it's real or not, or that's the only difference if we can burn it and it gets you high. Like there's more than it goes deeper than that, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So, cause yeah, I tried THCA before, and this one time in Hawaii because it was legal, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when I hit it, like it didn't really like I felt high a little bit, but then like after the next day, like I didn't really feel anything. So I only
Okay.
felt it like the first time I did it. So
Okay.
yeah. So,
Okay.
so are you pretty much saying that the weed that they're selling is THCA instead of actual THC? Is that what you're saying?
the weeds in the California Cannabis Club. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say all of it is THCA, but I would say most of it is, and they're trying to phase it out. I think they're trying to phase it out. Like the cheaper weeds, the $10 A's, $5 A's, all those good deals. That's I would say mainly will probably be THCA, and as you get to the higher ones that cost like more money, I'm not sure if that's THCA or not, but I can't even really say. But all I know is for a fact, I want to say all of it's THC. I wouldn't say all of it,
Okay. Okay.
but at
Yeah.
the same time,
Uh,
if 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 it was all THCA, then they would never be rated. If they were selling THCA, wouldn't they eventually be rated or something? Like I've never seen a club get rated recently. I don't
right.
know.
Right.
Because it's federally illegal. They're rating people as we speak. The Chinese immigrant, some Chinese, like there's a lot of Chinese people are coming over to US right now, and they're like exploiting, like, because a lot of American people aren't don't have that much knowledge in hacking and certain shit. So a lot of Chinese people who have knowledge in hacking and computers, they're coming over to America and exploiting like a lot of the weak security systems. That's why like they sentenced some Chinese kid like 20 years for hacking some like grocery store like membership login center and got credit cards because like they know how to hack those Chinese people. So a lot of Chinese
Hmm.
people are migrating here and like doing like scams and gift card, like some computer hacking scams to make money, and then they buy weed houses. Like they just hustling over here. So like they caught a bunch of Chinese people, and then they were growing weed and they threw them in jail. And I'm like, I didn't know they were busting people for weed. I thought they only busting people like clubs and shit. I thought the weed was legal, but they were growing something else. It wasn't. It isn't legal. So
Mm. All right, man. Yeah. 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 I'll keep my eye out next time I'm at the dispensary. I'm gonna.
yeah.
Because yeah, it makes sense that they would do that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that shit. Because like I was like, man, why is this so cheap?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like it's not cheap for a reason. Like there's a reason it's cheap, and you even when you talk about the oil, like just to have a gram of weed is like $10. But why you could get a gram of oil, and they tell you like it takes like a 20 grams of weed to make a gram of oil, or it takes so much amount of grams of weed to make 1 gram of oil. But why is oil cheaper than weed if it takes so much weed to make oil? Because to make the whole oil making process, it's impossible to make weed oil, without using like more than like 10 grams of weed at a time. Like you got to use a lot of weed just to make a very little oil. It's because it's concentrated. That's why they call it concentration, because it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much weed concentrated into like the small amount. So why is the concentration cheaper than the actual weed, but then you need a lot of weed to make the concentration? I don't get it. Like that means there's something. What that reminds me of is the same reason why like you see cheap food and an expensive food that's less, but you see a cheap food and it's like a big GMO apple is cheap, but then you see a small organic apple and it kind of reminds me of that energy. That's why I
Hmm.
stated that.
Yeah. 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 That makes sense, man. All right. Thanks, Chauncey. Appreciate you, man.
Yep. Shout out to
Yep.
Elheem.
Yep. I'll catch you later.
Yep.
All
Shout.
right. Peace, bro.
Yep. Shout out to Elheem. But yeah, that's just just be careful when we were out there. And be careful. I'm not gonna tell me to stop smoking because not if you want to smoke, nothing wrong with that. I say smoke if that's what you feel like doing, and some people they need to smoke and shit. Like I'm not gonna like take that away from no one, but the way I look at it, if you're gonna smoke, smoke the best shit. Shit, even if you're gonna drink, they even have organic alcohol and shit, and alcohol that's made from certain ways where it's like it's more pure and it's organic, and they use like certain shit that like at least whatever you do, at least try to do it the most healthiest you can, if anything, if you're gonna do it. And if you are gonna go to the weed shop, I was and you're gonna if you're gonna smoke okay, if you're gonna smoke any type of vape, anybody who smokes weed vape, or this is concentrate weed vape specifically, I would suggest only get rosin. If it's not rosin, do not get it. This is my advice. Rosin actually gets you higher. Live resin, wax, everything that isn't rosin is fucking is it has pesticides and is fucked up for you. I'm not saying rosin, that they say rosin is supposed to be pure because they make rosin out of ice and water only. That's what they say, and usually the price of rosin costs way more. Like rosin costs extremely way more than like you probably pay like $60 a gram for rosin on average, whereas live resin you probably pay like 40 or something. You see what I'm saying? So it's like rosin's always going to be priced higher. So if you are going to smoke any type of weed vape, make sure it's rosin, ROSIN. And rosin actually gets you higher and it's more expensive. And it's they make it with just weed and water. Weed and ice water. So they get weed and they get ice water and they get a machine and it makes it. The other shit they add chemicals, they heat it up, it's like a big mixture and it's butane and all this other shit. That's the live resin. Other and even when they have they have healthier live resins where there's less of it, but it still has toxins in it. Like they'll say, oh, this live they'll have high price live resin, but it's still not organic. Like just look at rosin like organic vapes. That's rosin. And anything that isn't rosin isn't is non-organic. So even if it's you think it's high, it's never gonna outprice rosin for the most part. And even if it does, it still has it's still because for you to call it rosin, it has to be made a certain way. And when you call it live resin and other shit, it has to be made a certain way. So always keep that in mind. So when I say rosin, that means it was made with ice water and the weed, and it's just a natural processing machine. That's it. So you're not having nothing but that. When you have on all the other shit, you're having all the chemicals and the other stuff. But not to say the rosin doesn't have any of the other stuff like the THCA and stuff. I don't know about that, but you're gonna have to like if you're gonna smoke the vape pens, get the rosin, and if you're gonna smoke the weed, get like the THC if you can. I think they have medical dispensaries that you get a medical card and you could have medical deliveries and dispensaries that may sell it, but I'm not sure. But just be careful what you guys are smoking out there, because I don't trust this government with nothing. Because you got to understand, like when you go into these clubs and you see all these packages, like look at some of the name of the packages. They you can tell they're owned by Masons. There's this one brand called Pacific Stone. Why the fuck would you name yourself Pacific? And then guess what the mascot of the fucking image is? It's like a one of those people, you know, when you play Red Dead Revolver, one of those like those men in the government, they have those like weirdo like those Masonic ass characters from those Western, like that's the mascot and it's called Pacific Stone. Like why would you call something that? Like obviously these are created by Masonic companies, so they have an agenda, they don't have your interest. So you got to know what you're looking at. Like read the name of these things. You can even tell there's another name that was kind of like the Pacific Stone was like the more obvious one, but they have a whole bunch of other ones and shit. Like the name of it, where like the name you could just tell like is created by some Mason or whatever, or like the company is ran by somebody that's on the team and shit. Yeah, it's a live rose, and yeah, that'll probably be your healthiest option because they don't add pesticides in live. That's what they say. They don't add no pesticides at all in live rosin. Because as well as with the other shit, you always gotta always remember they put pesticides in that shit too. They put a lot of pesticides in it. Yeah, they put a lot of. So there's just a lot of shit you guys gotta always keep in mind. I just felt like I have to say this message because I know a lot of people smoke and they're gonna do their thing, which is nothing wrong. But that's the reason I make it because I know people that smoke because that's what they like to do, and there's nothing wrong with it. But at least I want to give information to put it out there so you guys know what you're smoking and you don't like if you guys start having some type of issue or problem that may come up in the future, you're able to be like, okay, this could be a factor. Let me cut this out, or let me so you know how to move accordingly. Because I don't want to see nobody like down bad who watches my unless you're a troll and you're a piece of shit, then I don't care. But people who watch my channel and who respect the information and resonate and support the channel, I don't want to see like anything negative happen to anyone like that, especially health wise. Yeah. That's why I'm glad I have my channel. That's why I don't really give a fuck about like my channel going viral. To be honest, I don't even want to go viral too much because shit. To be honest, like going viral is kind of be a negative thing for me at some point in my life. Like So I actually don't even want to go viral, to be honest. I like my shit small to get the information out, because if my shit does go viral and information like this does go out, I don't feel like living a life motherfuckers coming at my door and sending me shit and all these fucking problems and shit. Yeah. But why the fuck does it matter at that point? Like, who gives a shit if it's psychoactive? No, that's the thing. Like, why is it even a discussion? Like, the reason why, like, because it shouldn't even be a discussion. The only reason it is a discussion right now is because they changed it and they made one legal, they made one not illegal. They didn't have to do that. So I don't know. You ask them. Like, well, I know why. Like, because they don't. I already told you why. Like, why they're gonna do it. So all that combustion shit has nothing to do with it. At the end of the day, it's a fucking synthetic plant, and when you smoke it, how it makes you feel, how it makes you, that has nothing to do with anything. What is it doing to your body that THC isn't doing to your body? What is this doing to your body that THC is doing? You see what I'm saying? Compare what is having an effect on your body, not just is it get you high or I can care less if it feels the same, gets me high. What's the effect? Like a bag of potato chips right now tastes similar to chips a year ago or 2 years ago, but we already know it's not the same ingredients due to food inflation, and so they're adding more things to it. So you may be getting more, it's probably skin irritation and problems and stomach aches more so after eating them, but they still taste the same. But you're like, why is my stomach hurting after I eat this? You see what I'm saying? Like, you eat some raw food, eat some raw chicken, but you don't know it's raw. But when you're eating it, it is good. But then after you eat it, your stomach's hurting. But then you ate some chicken last week, your stomach didn't hurt. But when you were eating it, it tastes the same. But when your stomach digested it, it was able to pick out the poisons that you couldn't taste. So that's how you got to look at it. Like, just because the weed it smokes the same and everything, it doesn't really mean it's really the same. It has the effect on your body. Yeah, grow your own. That's the best way to do it. And like, that's the thing. And then what's weird is that you'll see a lot of people say like, "Oh, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. It smells the same and all that." And I don't believe that as well. I really don't believe that, because I know some people, like you say, you've been growing yours for 10 years. Do you um have you smoked THCA, and can you tell a difference, or it's the same? Because if you're growing your own, you must. If anybody who's that invested to grow their own in this time, that means they must obviously not want to smoke that shit. Because most people are lazy, just want to go and let me just go to the store and buy it. I don't feel like growing it. Like, for somebody to grow their own, they must obviously like growing it. That means you like your shit better than the club, and if you like your shit better than the club, there's a reason for that. Chemical reason for that within the week. Yep, they have patents and shit. I even think that whole cookie strain is a straight patent. Like the cookie strain, they have like that. Where the fuck did that strain come out of the blue? They just had a strain called Girl Scout cookie. Like, where the fuck did that come from? Then some dude made it in his fucking basement, and now everybody around the world, that's like one of the most famous strains, and every club has that strain, and it's like everywhere, and it's just weird. Then like they had the old strains like OG Kush and all. Those were like when the real weed days were. Like, they had the Thai Haze and the Thai Stick. That's when the shit was more real. It was like real. Then as they started making all this other weird shit, like, how the fuck? And they'll tell you they make a phenotype where they get one weed and they mix it with this one. I think it's deeper than that. I think it's deeper, and I don't think they're just conjuncting weed together and shit. Yeah, part of it is, but I feel like there's more to it. It's not just, well, we put this plant with this plant and this. I think it's more. Maybe I'm wrong, because especially like, I don't know. Yeah, they have patents on this shit. Why would you have a patent? Because it's a technology. Because it's something more into it. It's not just some weed or whatever. It's a patent. It's weird how he said. I didn't know they had a patent on it. That's crazy how the Vibe Lounge said they have patents on it. That's crazy. Cookies are effed with GMO. So he says I'm a breeder. Okay, that's what's up. See, that's good. We have somebody in here. So like, so would you say that the weed you smoke is different than the weed that's at the club though? Yeah, because there's some people that they're deep into growing, and I used to know people that grew shit, and when they grew it, it was like a because even when you're growing it, depending on how you're growing it, you're adding a lot of chemicals into it. Like he said, it's 100% different. Like the weed he grows versus the weed at the club. That's what I'm saying. It's not the same. But I'm pretty sure to the average person who's not skilled in like looking at plants, they're probably think, oh, it's the same. It doesn't matter. But it's not the same. There's a reason why it's illegal and one's not illegal because you always got to keep bringing it back to that THCA is legal. THC is not illegal. Why would they go and spend the time and energy to create THCA and then write it and make a loophole? And they say that it's funny how they try to lie and say, "Oh, the loophole is to get around the government." No, because if the wouldn't they just block that loophole? Wouldn't they just say, "Oh, you did that. We're gonna make this illegal now"? Like they're not gonna just let it. The reason they're letting it slide and they're not doing nothing is because they don't give a fuck. Because they know it ain't the same and they don't care you taking it. Yes, my weed makes real THC. The stuff that's banned. It runs hot. It would never make it on a hemp farm. Yeah. What do you mean by it runs hot? You mean like it just like it's yeah, I kind of don't understand what you said when it runs hot, but yeah, you said it's the same shit. It's different shit. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I just figured this out because because I didn't I because be honest, I just got a realization about this shit today when my brother was talking to me and I did my research and it's funny how when I did my research on this, my research on it led me to misinformation and that made me come to my own conclusion because ain't nobody on the internet talking about it to be honest. Even the Vibe Lounge dude has probably dropped more information today that I've gotten on this shit than everybody else I seen when I was doing research on it that said they were weed experts. Like all these, it's funny all the people that are so-called weed experts, I don't even think they were growers. They were just people on YouTube who just talk about weed and get paid from it and just smoke in front and tell people and do strain reviews. Like how the fuck you gonna act like you know how to you know this and that and you're not even a grower. At least somebody who's growing this shit and who's growing it for years, I'd rather hear their opinion than somebody who's just smoking it on the internet talking about it. THC is okay, but once it's activated into THCB, it's no longer legal. That's my question. Like why is it no longer legal when it's THC and not THCB and all like that's what I want to know. That's crazy. The THC plants are most dominantly isolated DNA through genetic manipulation. So when you genetically manipulate DNA, that's gonna cause some issue to anybody who's consuming that, right? Like I'm sure. Like if you're taking something that's genetically manipulated, that's gonna cause some type of health issue because it's not in alignment with your circadian or it's not. It's like an incest baby. It's two people having sex and shit of the same like family. It's gonna cause a retarded ass baby. It's good. Wouldn't it kind of play out like that with the genetics and you mixing shit, then making fake shit and then smoking it? It's not gonna be good for your body. I'm assuming. Yeah, it's yeah. I'm gonna have to check his interview more. But every time I watch it, somebody talk about THC, they don't. I don't know. Like they just talk like it's not a big deal. Like it's just something. Like it's just something that just whatever. It was just a new thing when they wrote out. He said when they wrote it out in 2019, Farmville they accidentally left out the THC, and that's how it became legal. See, like stuff like that is hard for me to believe because that's like that's a story. Like that's like a rumor or that's like a narrative. Like when you go to the thing, I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna say that, but how do we even know? Like that could be some type of orchestrated shit that maybe I'm not saying that story doesn't exist. Like maybe they wrote it out to us. They accidentally left it out. You said they accidentally left it out. That accidentally could have been purpose, and then they made a story saying it was accident. So that's why I don't really trust X sources like that. I feel I don't. When it comes to this matrix and system, especially stuff like this, I don't think is accident. I think because you got to understand the people who are in power to make these narratives. I don't think well, no, I don't think I know they don't have. These people have a lot of time. They're very bored. Their whole day is spent observing the people and figuring out how to keep this system. There's nothing to do with nothing productive. So their whole day is going to making up a lie to try to keep their status. So even if it means the THC or fucking GMO food or whatever lie, fucking migrants and just whatever thing Trump, that's their whole job. So they don't have nothing to do but observe the internet and make up lies. So you always got to keep that in mind. I don't think this is an accident. Yeah. Yeah, the cartel and stuff have their hands on it. Yeah, the government uses the cartel because they need the cartel to push the drugs to push the drugs out. But the thing is, eventually they're gonna get rid of the cartel and they're gonna lock them all down once they don't need it no more. Because I don't know, maybe one day they might just get rid of all the drugs. Because I don't think drugs are gonna be here forever. Eventually they're gonna probably have to shut all this shit down, and everyone's gonna have to just be clean or go to some rehab mental ward. So like right now they're allowing the cartel to run because they need the cartel because if they don't have the cartel then who's gonna push the drugs? They can't have a CIA in a white suit and tie start selling drugs because it's gonna be like obvious that they're selling it. So they have to have a brown person, a Mexican or a black person sell it. That's why cartels, Mexican, black people like they're notorious for selling drugs and drug money. The Native American had pulled in billions of dollars from the cannabis. That's what's up. I wonder how it was. It like that's probably why it's illegal. That's probably one of the reasons why it's illegal to stop them from getting wealth. I don't know. They probably don't want to give them wealth. Just crazy. But shit, man. Yeah, I'm probably gonna end this live stream though pretty soon because all I really have to say. I didn't even expect this to be that long. I don't know. Like when I come on these live streams, I don't expect it to be 2 hours. I just want to come say my thing and leave. But it always ends up like hours on end. It's just crazy. And it's already 8. It's only 8. I'm not really tripping because it's only 8 o'clock right now. So just a very corrupt system. Think about it. You need $1 million to buy into the game, pretty much. Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't even want to buy into the game even if I had $1 million because if you have $1 million and they let you in that game, you still have to answer to your duties, and if you don't, then there's going to be problems. So you can't, even if you were to get in the industry, if you just started moving and doing what you want to do in that industry, like you own that industry, they're gonna pretty let you know that who's in charge. And yeah, I don't think anybody wants to be in that position. So because when you play a game like that, they'll get you. You have to answer accordingly to how they operate. And if you start whistleblowing and saying shit, even probably saying shit like me. If you're in that industry, they probably may get on your case about that. Also, they have the Indians and the mobsters involved. You got to import from Canada across the borders. Okay, I think you said you sound like you're from Canada. Okay, I think I don't know. Maybe you're from here, bro. Yeah, just a very corrupt system to think. Oh, I read that. That's in New York. Okay, for sure. Yeah, that's good though, man. Like this shit. You can probably even start a business doing like fucking because once people start realizing a lot of this shit is fucking fake. People aren't gonna want to get that shit no more. They even saying that a lot of the weed clubs out here are losing business, and they're saying, "Well, people aren't buying as much as they used to, or whatever." And I'm thinking it's because people probably realizing this shit. Because people are still buying off the street, I'm sure. So people probably just aren't going to the clubs, and maybe that's a good thing. Yeah, man, it's fucking shit's hot. My bad, accidentally cut it off. So it's hurting the real growers because everybody's buying that fake stuff for 15 ounce. Yeah, it's funny how you say that because like this is what me and Elhim was saying earlier. Like, why does shit get so cheap? And it's funny they try to use reverse psychology. They'll be like, every day we got sales every day. Anytime you go to a store and they say we have everyday sales, those aren't sales. That's the real price. It's just a mind. It's a manipulation to make you spend more money to think you're getting a deal. I don't even know why they're even allowed to keep doing that stupid shit unless they're changing the price every day. But if it's the same price, like $10, this used to be $15, and it was like, how long? How many this still going on? Like that's what it is. That's how you can tell that shit's fake. Is how are you giving so many deals? And like how are they producing so much of this shit? Like a gram a joint for $3, but yeah, a gram was like $10. And didn't it take like when you used to grow this shit? It took a long time to grow it, and it takes time to do it, and you got to do all now. But they're able to grow so quick, where they're able to sell like a few dollars a joint. Some cases, yeah, some sound right. Yeah, that they use terpenes. Terpenes is I heard terpenes aren't even like depending because it depends on some people probably use. They say there's different qualities of terpenes and shit, and I heard like people are adding vitamin E. Well, that's probably like the fake. I don't know. It was just weird shit. People were adding to the carts and the oils, and like I'm not sure, but I think you got to use certain types of terpenes, and there's high quality ones, and people are using ones that weren't really. I don't know. Like you gotta be careful out here. Got to be very careful. The isolates. Oh man, my fucking neck. The isolates are extracting then. Yeah, when I end this live, I'm gonna have to come back and reread a lot of your things because there's some good information right here. Because I'm gonna really research and look into this shit. Because I'm gonna send some of this shit to my brother because he was telling me about this as well. But yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like, because even like when you smoke some of the weed, sometimes I notice like my stomach would get nauseated. Like when I smoke certain weed, like my shit would get nauseated. Like, and I'd be like, why? I didn't, the nausea will come, but it will go away. And it would happen so much, I would get used to it, thinking that that's just part of the weed experiment. But when I think back to years ago, I don't remember my stomach being nauseated from smoking weed. Like back in 2010, 2011, when I was smoking, my shit wasn't getting nauseated. That shit just started like within the last time I was, so the last time I smoked was I was it was probably the beginning of this year, January. Is the last time I smoked, and I remember before that I was smoking heavily as well, and my stomach would hurt every now and then or get a little nauseated, and I'm thinking it's those chemicals. But when I would smoke rosin, I noticed my stomach wouldn't hurt at all. Like I would just be clear headed high and it'd be clear. But then the high won't be it'll be different. It won't be as like it'll be more clear headed. It won't be as cloudy and hazy. Yeah, they are spraying fake chemicals because it's like a chemical and the chemical it's like a I know what you're talking about because it's like a certain chemical and they just spray they get cheap weed and they spray it on the weed. So now you can get some cheap weed and then spray it on there, and it gives it the illusion like it's some dank, but it's really just smoking a chemical. So it's pretty much like a drug, new age drug addict, but they're doing it in a different way. And people remember, everyone used to speak about this. Remember when they were going to legalize it? Like, oh, when they legalize marijuana, they're gonna corporatize it. They're gonna make it fake, and everyone was all joking about, oh, Walmart's gonna sell weed, and I'm not gonna smoke weed when they corporatize it, and now it's corporatized, and nobody's all me speaking like this. Most people say, oh, I'm crazy, but I remember the time like it wasn't even 10 years ago. It was before we got legal. Everyone's oh they need to make it weed legal, and then there'll be some people say no they don't need to make it legal because corporations are gonna take over and all that shit. And they're gonna ruin it. And then this is what they did. They ruined it, but then nobody's talking about that they ruined it. Everyone just like it's nothing. So yeah, this shit's crazy. Only smoke residue that's clean, no chemicals. Yeah, rosin. And you notice how they name it? They you can even tell that this shit is all orchestrated. Cause look at the name. When you back in the day, when you used to smoke, when you didn't have any weed and you used to want to get high, what did you used to smoke? Resin. And it's funny how they when they call the weed that's somehow oil, they call it live resin. So it's resin that's like alive, so it's more enhanced. And then they have the rosin, like it rose above. So they're playing like on the words. Because when every kid that's young smoking weed as a pothead, you smoked resin. So when you got older, you have that resin memory. So then now they call it live resin. So now it intrigues your subconscious. Oh, it's live resin. Then they have rosin, like you rose above, and like see how they playing on the word. So this is how you can know this is all control. This is all this no everything is all. It's not no accident. So it's not like oh somebody left it made a mistake or no. They know everybody whoever's controlling this knows exactly what the fuck's going on. Because who the fuck is gonna name it resin? Like who gives it these names for it to stick? And everybody in the whole industry calls it that. That's something you got something to think about. And when you look at something like you may think it's not it doesn't matter or it's not similar to what we're talking about, but it just shows you proof that there's somebody controlling this narrative and everything about it. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna end this live stream, guys. This was a good live stream. Just want to end it here. I'll probably be on tomorrow as well. And then I'm gonna go in some more. Like I said, if I'm always growing, I'm always evolving and learning. And as I get insights, I'm gonna just drop them as I keep getting my insights in. Because we gotta expose a little. There's a lot of fuckery in this system, and there needs to be exposed and put out there. So at least, because a lot, one thing you gotta understand when you're when if enough people once people start becoming aware, awareness within itself is gonna allow them to face the karma and the repercussions. This is part of the reason why they want to shadow ban so people don't know because the more aware people are, the more they can't get away with something like the vaccine thing. They couldn't get away with it because a lot of people were aware, so they shut that shit down. And you see what happened now. It's back to normal as compared to what went down then. So imagine if people knew their power for other shit. then they will stop doing it because they know if they don't, it's gonna be a problem. So yeah, but shout out to the third view and everyone in the room who came. That's but I'm gonna be out and peace.